speechless. Speechless is how I would describe this movie, how I would describe my theater experience. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, it's finally here. It has delivered. It has exceeded the hype. It is just phenomenal. So let's get on into my thoughts about the film. What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel here. My name is Tyson, and we are here to talk about movies. That's right, we do it all here on the channel. Movie reviews, movie trailer reactions, cover major entertainment news, movie rankings. We do it all. So please stick around, subscribe to Mint One. We would really appreciate the support as we are on the way to 1,000 subscribers. So stick around for that. But right now, let's dive on into this amazing film, which is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I had not a lot of expectations, really, when I walked into this movie. It's not well known, but I am not the biggest fan of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. That is until I rewatched it leading up to this film. And I now love the first Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and I now love this one as well. It has done so much. The animation in this film is basically like a main character. It changes so much. So I feel like the animation changes depending on what scene we're in. And I love how it changes, the style does, depending on what kind of realm or world we are in, as this is a multiverse movie. And I was a huge component of that. The film starts off with Gwen Stacy. This film, first of all, focuses a lot on the character of Gwen Stacy. And the film opens up with her in her world, in her universe. And the animation style is different from what it was in Into the Spider-Verse. And I was sitting there and I was kind of like, something's off for me. Why is it like this? I like the animation of the first one. And then I realized as the movie progressed, oh wow, they really have changed the animation style varying on what kind of universe you're in. And I love that. It gives so much more depth to this film, and the detail that is in this film is incredible. So the animation, it has changed the landscape, I think, of that medium. And I think it is one of the best animated films to exist, by far. I started off with Gwen Stacy, so let's get right back on that. Like I said, the film focuses a lot more around her, which I absolutely loved. Haley Steinfeld does a great job of bringing this character to life the best way she can. And I have such a more profound connection to this character than I did even in the first one, because we get a lot of time with this character, especially the struggle between her relationship with her father, which I think was focused on beautifully here in a very central part of this movie. So she did a fantastic job, and I love the relationship between her and Miles as well. That has grown. You see kind of like the will they, won't they, and a specific character actually kind of makes fun of that during the movie as well, which I thought was great. And you know, you root for these two young characters as they both have a certain amount of feelings for each other, and you want that to come to fruition, but you understand why the characters are acting the way they are around each other. So that's a very centric part of this movie. Another relationship I want to touch on is the one with Miles and his parents. His parents, I love them in the first one. I love them even more here. We get some great parenting moments with them. They have such a great family arc in this film. It brings it to life. It makes it totally relatable, which I love about this entire film, is what the characters are going through. I feel like is relatable in some sort of way. And we have a great scene. I won't give any spoilers away in this review, but we have a great scene between the mother and Miles that definitely is a be who you are and don't let others tell you that you do not belong when you do. And that was, it was just beautiful. It was a very beautiful, emotional scene. So I love the parents even more in this film. They did an amazing job in here. Now let's talk about the main character, Miles Morales. I love this character. He is struggling between being Spider-Man and himself, telling his parents or not telling his parents, trying to be comfortable with who he is and trying to figure out where he fits in. He is really, really missing his spider friends as well. That is until, obviously, he gets connected with them. But I think his whole character arc in this one is definitely going to make him more mature and beyond the Spider-Verse and you need this movie, this arc in here, he gets down pretty low, probably one of the lowest of the lows. He's able to pick himself back up. It's a super relatable character arc, and sometimes films overuse this specific character arc, but how it is used here is brilliant, and it significantly changes the impact, I believe, of Beyond the Spider-Verse. So I'm a huge fan of the Miles character in this film, for sure. Speaking of his spider friends, we do have Peter Parker back, and he's got a kid with him. He's got a kid, and that is a amazing part of this movie, probably one of the funniest parts. I love seeing this character back. He was one of my favorites from the first one, and he's not in it as much as I thought he was going to be, but he does still play a significant role in this one as well. So I was loving to see him back in his character arc with being back together. And MJ having a child just builds his character out more, which I absolutely love. But let's talk about the villain here now. We got the Spot. I did not know how I was going to feel about the Spot. Was it going to be treated right? Was it going to be too funny and too comical? There are definitely the funny parts in here, but it is done so well. This villain, even though there's jokes about it, he's a very high-class villain. He is one to be threatened by. His backstory in here came from out of nowhere for me. I never expected that, but I absolutely loved how they tied that in. And I am super excited to see where he goes in Beyond the Spider-Verse, because in my opinion, he kind of did take a back seat to this movie. He was in it for a good point in the beginning, and he's definitely talked about all throughout. But I feel like his menacing power as a villain will be more in Beyond the Spider-Verse than it was in this film. But hey, I'm okay with that. This is a part one of a part two, so you are not going to get a completed storyline in this one. But let me tell you, in the Beyond the Spider-Verse, he ain't going to be anything to mess around with. It's going to be hard defeating him, and how they set up how he is going to attack Miles. It's going to be hard to stop, and we're going to see how that goes, and that is the center of the film. But I can't get that away because that's a spoiler, but I will get that away in my spoiler review. So, moving on, I want to talk about the screenplay here. The writing is fantastic. The dialogue, it sticks with you. The emotional depth that you can get from a perfect screenplay. That's what happens here. The writers are absolutely outstanding, and this brings the film together. It's a stronger screenplay than the first, and I loved every single moment of it. After that, I want to get into the length of the film. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes. Does it feel like that? Not at all. This film breezes by. You are on the edge of your seat your whole movie. And because of that, you don't feel like 2 hours has gone by when this movie comes to a close. It's absolutely brilliant. You want more after you're sitting there. It's just not a problem. Fantastic. I think the third one will probably be a little bit longer anyway. So, hey, I'm all for it as long as it doesn't feel like you're waiting for it to be over. The runtime was perfect. The tones of this movie are very heavy, and they are dark. They are a lot darker than I thought it was going to be. There's a specific scene involving Miles when he is in another universe. He's in some trouble. It's toward the end of the film, so if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. This is a PG movie, and a lot of people are bringing their kids to it. I just didn't expect it to get this dark. It definitely is, and it surprised me in the theater that they went this route. And I enjoyed it, though. It worked for me. And there is so much emotion in this film, between love, sacrifice, sadness, depression even, anxiety, not knowing if you belong or not. It's all done so well. It's beautiful. It's just absolutely beautiful. So the emotion is here, and it's perfect. And one character that I forgot to mention, that was on accident, but I remember now, so that's what's important. It is Miguel, Spider-Man 2099. He is in here, and he is fantastic. And I know you kind of want to like him, but he just kind of comes off as a cocky, arrogant type person. But yet it's because he's in this leadership role where he is trying to do what he truly believes is right, but it just doesn't align with what our main character sees as right, which is why we kind of see him as the villain, even though I think he's more of an anti-hero. So, big positive on Miguel, for sure. With that all being said, just to give my basic thoughts here to sum it all up, it was an amazing theater experience. It was an amazing film. Not just a comic book film, but an amazing film. Spider-Man fans are going to love so much in here. There are so many cameos and so many great moments from the comics. Again, don't want to give any of those away, but I think everyone is going to walk out of this film with a smile on their face. I really do. I don't see a lot of people disliking this movie wholeheartedly. I think that would be hard for somebody to go into. Unless you don't like this animation style. Then, I don't think it's for you. But with that all being said and how amazing I do think this film is, I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. I think Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is a 9 out of 10 film. I am planning to rewatch it again this weekend, and who knows, it could go up. This film is getting a lot of praise, saying it's one of the best comic book movies of all time, one of the best animation movies of all time, and one of the best movies, period, of all time. Do I believe all of that to be true? None of it to be true, some to be true. Truth is, I don't know. I've only seen the film once, and it was just last night. So it's too soon to tell, too soon for me to say that. Although I will say, because of the animation, I can see myself agreeing with the points that it's one of the best animated films of all time. But when the spoiler review comes, I'll give my full thoughts on that certain subject. Alright, so with that all being said and squared away, that will do it. That will do it for me here. Please let me know your thoughts on the film down below. Did you like it? Did you not? Is it better than Into the Spider-Verse for you? Do you think it's one of the best animated films of all time? Comic book films? All that jazz down below in the comments. I'm thinking about doing a ranking of all Spider-Man films as well. So definitely let me know what you would think of that as well. So with that being said, I hope you guys are all having a good one. And I'll catch you guys on the next video.